Hey, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about the Elder Scrolls 6, and more specifically, I want to tell you guys, or I am speculating that the Elder Scrolls 6 will take place in High Rock. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is purely speculation and prediction. Yeah, but I'm very excited to be making this video because we're not only making an Elder Scrolls 6 talk video and prediction video. This is the first Elder Scrolls 6 talk video and prediction video we have ever made for this channel, and I am super excited to do this, and honestly, I can't wait to do this. I thought the first time I would make an Elder Scrolls 6 talk video was probably 4 years from now, to be honest. I did not think we would see anything about the Elder Scrolls 6 for another 4 or 3 years. However, this year at E3, Bethesda Game Studios surprised us with a tease not only for the Elder Scrolls 6, but for Starfield as well. Now, guys, the tease for the Elder Scrolls 6 was not very long. It was only about 36 seconds long, I believe, and it's really not a whole lot to go on. All we can tell is that the game, the Elder Scrolls 6, looks like it takes place near a coast somewhere. Yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm going to tell you guys why I think the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be set in High Rock. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, guys, since the release of the Elder Scrolls 6 tease, I have been sitting here for hours looking at geographical descriptions. I have not only been looking at geographical descriptions of the locations in Tamriel, I have been looking at a map of Tamriel. And yeah, that's kind of how I came to my conclusion on High Rock here. So let's go ahead and do this. So when I first sat down to try to predict where the Elder Scrolls 6 would take place, I sat here and I thought process of elimination. So the first thing I did was I pulled up a map of the Elder Scrolls 6. The first thing I did was pull up a map of Tamriel. And I sat here and I did the process of elimination. And I said where it's not going to be. So I said it's definitely not going to be in Skyrim. We'll cross that off the list. Not going to be in Morrowind. Not going to be in Vrindenfell. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's up the top there by Morrowind. So I crossed that off the list. I don't think it's going to be in the Sea of Ghosts or Solstheim. Cross those off the list. Don't think it's going to be in Blackmarsh. Cross that off the list. Don't think it's going to be in the Somerset Isles. Cross that off the list. Now, originally, I had thought maybe elsewhere, Valenwood, or Hammerfell. However, after reading the description for Valenwood, I decided not to, and I'll get more in that second. But the reason why I decided no on Elsewhere was because I've seen a lot of people already saying that it's not going to take place in Elsewhere. Essentially because, for those of you that do not know, the Khajiit live in Elsewhere, which are the cat-like creature characters who inhabit Elsewhere. They're an animal creature like I don't know. I forgot the description of a Khajiit, but it's one of the creature characters that encompasses Tamriel, and they just happen to live in Elsewhere. And there is a lot of lore surrounding the Khajiit. They are all different in shapes and sizes. I've seen some, things on Wiki that say, a Khajiit could be as small as a house cat, or it could be as giant as a mammoth. So that's pretty insane. I've also seen some people say that in comment sections of other videos. And a lot of people say that there's a lot of lore surrounding Elsewhere and a lot of lore surrounding the Khajiit, and that it would be very hard to make a Elder Scrolls game in Elsewhere because there's so much lore and there's so many things that could go wrong if they did decide to do there are so many things that could go wrong if they did decide to do an Elder Scrolls game inside Elsewhere. That's what a lot of people are saying. Just because there's so much lore surrounding the Khajiit who live in Elsewhere, that it would be really easy to mess up that lore unless it was near perfect. So a lot of people have already kind of crossed Elsewhere off the list. Now, I have crossed Elsewhere off the list too because of those reasons. So I don't think it's going to be set in Elsewhere. solely because there's so much lore surrounding the Khajiit, and I don't think a lot of people, or I don't think Bethesda Game Studios would want to do it just yet, because if they did do it and they messed up, they'd be in a lot of trouble. I don't think they would mess up. All I'm saying is I don't think it is going to happen in Elsewhere, solely because of the amount of lore surrounding the Khajiit who live there. I don't think it would happen. So I'm going to cross Elsewhere off the list. Now, like I said, I could be wrong. Now, originally, then my attention flipped to Valenwood, Hammerfell, High Rock, and then Valenwood. I don't know, one of the two. And then I looked at the geographical description of Valenwood, and it says this: Valenwood has a largely uninhabited forest wilderness. The coast of Valenwood are dominated by mangrove swamps and subtropical rainforest, while heavy rainfalls nature the temperate inland rainforest. The Bosmer live in clan houses and sites scattered along the coast and through the interior, connected only by underdeveloped foot trails. The few imperial roads traverse vast dense woodlands studded with tiny, widely separated settlements and carry little trade or traffic of any kind. Furthermore, the nation is home to giant migratory trees such as Phalanstesti that house their cities. I'm pretty sure I messed up that tree name. But when you look at the description of Valenwood, it says that along its coast, essentially, it is dominated by mangrove swamps and subtropical rainforest. And if we look at the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer, it doesn't look like the coast is a mangrove swamp, and it does not look like it's a subtropical rainforest. So right off the back, we could cross Valenwood off just because of the geological description of Valenwood and where it is and stuff like that. So that leaves Hammerfell and High Rock. Now, originally I thought it would be Hammerfell. However, after reading the geographical description of Hammerfell, I decided no. Although this Hammerfell geographical description does kind of fit, I don't think it is, and I'll explain more why in a second. But if the Elder Scrolls 6 is not going to be set in High Rock, if that prediction's wrong, I do think kind of my secondary prediction would probably have to be Hammerfell, solely because of the geographical location and description of the game, or description of Hammerfell. Solely because of the geographical description of Hammerfell, I think it is possible that the Elder Scrolls 6 could be set in Hammerfell, but I think it's going to be High Rock. So guys, let's go ahead and read the geographical description for Hammerfell. Hammerfell is an arid land consisting of mostly deserts, mountains, and grasslands. The few forests of Hammerfell, found mainly along the coast and along the borders between Hammerfell, High Rock, and Skyrim, are rugged Dragentail Mountains. The rugged Dragentail Mountains in northern Hammerfell's border with Skyrim. The Colvavian Highlands make up part of Hammerfell's southern border with Cyrodiil. The southern region of Hammerfell is occupied by grasslands similar to those found in the Gold Coast region of Cyrodiil. The Dacfron Desert, a region of rocky desert in the northern region of Hammerfell, borders the Dragentail Mountains and is perhaps the most prominent geographical feature of Hammerfell. And is perhaps the most prominent geographical feature of Hammerfell, the Alakir Desert. Now, it also goes on to say the Alakir Desert takes up all of the western region of Hammerfell and is widely regarded as the most inhospitable region in all of Tamriel until the coming of Raganda in the 800s of the First Era. The deserts were populated only by monstrous beasts, including giant scorpions, while the fauna of the Alakir Desert remained deadly into the Third Era. The Red Guards have managed to significantly reduce the presence of and threat of those creatures. The Alakir Desert is also home to the ruins of countless civilizations that had perished beneath its sands. Its blazing heat, ferocious sandstorms, and lack of water makes it nearly impossible to survive in the Alakir Desert. The desert is inhabited only by nomadic dun dweller red guards. So essentially, all of the western region of Hammerfell, the Alakir Desert takes up. And if we look at the map, the way we're coming in is like this, and it's on our right side. The coast would be on our right side. So if we turn this way, the coast is on the east, right? Yeah, the coast would be on the east. I really don't know because, it's a game. I mean, you could be in any direction. But I'm assuming the way we're looking at is probably... I'm going to assume the west coast. And since the Alakir Desert takes up all of the west of Hammerfell, this really doesn't look like a desert to me in the trailer. So I don't think that this is going to be Hammerfell based off geographical evidence. However, the geographical evidence of Hammerfell does fit as well, because it does say that it does have a few forest areas, mainly along the coast. So it could be Hammerfell, but based on the description of, the Alakir Desert and stuff, I really don't think Hammerfell is going to be the place where the Elder Scrolls 6 is set. But that's just my opinion. But if it is going to be set anywhere else other than High Rock, I do think it'll be Hammerfell. So going on to my High Rock prediction here, and this is kind of fits the description and kind of what we see in the trailer. So let's go ahead and read this. Geography. It is known that High Rock encompasses the greater Brittany and Delis Islands, and by tradition the Western Reach. Its regional geography is varied. The forest peaks of the northern Worthgrain Mountains are occupied mainly by Orcish tribes based in Orc strongholds. The only truly cosmopolitan cities lie along the Lilith Bay, the enclosed body of water across from which sits Hammerfell. A number of kingdoms have proposed due to trade around the bay and up the Bolgeles River. Oh, my bad, I read that wrong. A number of kingdoms have prospered due to trade around the bay of the Bolgeles River, such as Wayrest. Inland, the countryside raises into the windswept plateau of northern Cambria. This region is known for its many small villages and towns, and for the many grim fortifications that dot the hills and crags around them. In the past, these castles were the dominions of many petty kings and lords that ruled the massive patchwork of small nations that used to make up High Rock. Many of these fortresses are now in ruins, and the Empire has been demolishing them since the time of Tiber Septim to prevent them from being used as bases for future rebellion. However, guys, in the trailer, it does look like there is a castle or a something that is falling apart. It looks like a castle that fell apart, to be honest. And given the geographical description of High Rock, it seems like High Rock, just based on the small minuscule amount of evidence that we have, just based on that small minuscule amount of evidence that we have, I'm gonna say it's set in High Rock because solely we see a crumbling kind of castle in the middle of the Elder Scrolls 6. It's just kind of sitting there, and you could tell that it's a castle. You could tell that it's, kind of jacked up. So, really, the only place I think the Elder Scrolls 6 could be set, based on the trailer, would be High Rock. But that's just my opinion. It doesn't really say anything about High Rock having, anything on its coast. But it does say that the coast is very important due to the Lilith Bay, because it has helped them prosper trade. And it says the only true cosmopolitan cities lie along the Lilith Bay, the enclosed body of water which sits across from Hammerfell. A number of kingdoms have prospered due to trade. And if we think of the Lilith Bay, right, you think of trade, you think of, that's maybe where the main game centered around. Maybe Bethesda showed us, this coastline. We know the coastline is important to Hammerfell because of the Lilac Bay, right? Because it's helped them prosper through trade. And we see a crumbling castle. So based on those two things, right there, I think that's where the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be set, and High Rock. It's a little bit of a reach, but really any prediction, any speculation out there is going to be a bit of a reach, because we don't have any information at this moment. It's really minuscule information, and any prediction or speculation is just kind of a reach at this point. But I do think it'll be High Rock based off the geographical evidence. I think Bethesda Game Studios, even though they only showed us a couple of seconds of it, I think they showed us more than most people think. We see a crumbling castle, we see a shoreline, Lilac Bay maybe. So, and since it shows the coast and the shoreline, I think the coast and the shoreline is going to be very important to the game. So I see Lilac Bay being a very I see Lilac Bay kind of being in this game, if you will. I see, I can just see it, if that makes sense. Like, I just see, because of the tees where it's set at along the coast, it just screams bay to me. Like, the bay would be very important, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure many of you understand what I'm trying to say, and I don't need to repeat myself, or maybe many of you don't understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I think it's going to be set in High Rock, solely because we see that crumbling castle, and because we see it set along the coastline, and we know that Lilac Bay is a very important part of the coastline for High Rock, because it helps it prosper through trade. So yeah, and the country and the surrounding, Hammerfell, the surrounding continents, countries. I don't know what you would call them. Regions of Tamriel. So yeah. Anyways, guys, that was my prediction for where the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be set. Where do you guys think the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be set? Let me know in the description below. Try to change my mind, point something out if I missed it. Anyways, love each and every single one of you. Hope to see you guys right back here tomorrow. But until then, remember to stay freaky. Bye, everyone.